With over 400 celebrity interviews and tons of pop culture nerdiness, Too Opinionated is a safe haven for your inner geek. Find us at meistercon.com or on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod. And please subscribe. It would really help us out. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated, where today I'm joined by actor Chris Browning. Welcome, hey, Chris.
Thank you. We've already kind of shot our wad. We've been talking for 15 minutes.
I know. We talked for 20 minutes, and I was like, I should be recording this.
That was my best shit. It's downhill from here.
So we spent the majority of time talking baseball. Did you happen to catch the Reds-Braves game today?
I did not.
Yeah, 13 innings.
Oh, and it was 1-0. I saw that.
1-0. Yeah. Yes. And
wow.
I'm a Reds fan, so I was disappointed. But they left something like 15 runners on base throughout the game. So it was
the Reds did?
The Reds did.
Stranded 13, you said?
Something like that. Yeah. It was wow. They had the bases loaded, I think, in 3 different innings with 1 out. Couldn't score it. Terrible. Well, but now Trevor Bauer, 12 strikeouts in 7 innings or so.
What's the poor guy got to do? I like Trevor.
Yeah, he's a character.
Yeah. He's, what is his self-proclaimed geek, right? A nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's smart as hell. He's frighteningly smart.
He is. He's very smart. Are you a Dodgers fan?
I am. Yeah. I didn't used to be. I kind of walked away from baseball. I grew up in in Western Pennsylvania, Stoneboro, Pennsylvania. Yeah. 800 people going. Yeah. No, like one person. I'll tell them all, and one will come. The Pittsburgh Pirates were the thing back there, and we're about an hour and a half north of Pittsburgh, and it was a great time to be a sports fan in Western Pennsylvania because we had the Steelers and we had the Pirates.
Yep.
We even had the Penguins. I mean, we won all 3 one year.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Really good. That is pretty cool.
Win the World Series, the Stanley Cup, and the Super Bowl in the same year.
Not bad. So you were there for the, We Are Family, the Willie Stargell and Dave Parker.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's when it was. I moved there in 75, and that's when the Steelers started winning. So I think it was because I moved there.
Yeah, I think that was probably the key.
That was it. They don't talk about that, but look it up. That's
their AAA team for Pittsburgh Pirates was in Charleston. It was the Charleston, West Virginia was their AAA team. So we saw a lot of those players coming through. Dave Parker was probably the best one, but those came through. But I was a Reds fan. I started watching baseball in 75, so it's hard not to be a Reds fan with that team.
The Red Machine. That's that was my high school. I mean, my Little League team was the Reds. And it was a perfect year to be the Reds fan because they had just won the World Series.
Did you have a favorite player?
On the Reds?
On
Johnny
anything?
Bench.
Just growing up?
I always worked on my Willie Stargell swing because he was a big left-handed power hitter, and that's what I was. And he was just a class act,
Yeah, he was awesome.
I liked pretending to be Willie Stargell.
Yeah, I was Joe Morgan. Mine was he had that little arm flap.
Did you do it? Did you get up there and do that?
I tried, yeah. I couldn't hit like him though.
I did that thing that Willie did where he brings it around.
And when you're younger, you think that helps you, but
well, and so it does.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, it probably does.
Yeah,
gives you confidence.
Uh-huh.
Now, my dad's a Dodger fan, but he started with the Brooklyn Dodgers and then just kind of followed them to LA. So
of course. Well, that's what I started to say is after high school, I went on just about a 20-year stretch there where I didn't follow baseball at all. And I knew so little. I think looking back on it, it's like, how did I do so well in high school without knowing how the game is played? Like
right.
I didn't know any of the nuances. We were small town. We had one baseball coach for the whole team, and we didn't have time to learn shit. And I did not know to look for certain pitches and certain counts and things like that. I just didn't know it. And I didn't know how to keep my hands in and go inside out. I didn't know any. I swung arms extended the whole time. So I either hit a home run or broke my bat, and it just, it was so little I knew about the sport. So then watching it is really boring if it's like the guy's throwing the ball and the guy's swinging at the ball and that's all you know about the game. It's boring.
That's really exactly boring. Right. Yep.
So you try to convince somebody else, if you got a girlfriend or something, that's like, this is boring. And if you're not willing to learn the game, it's always going to be boring.
That's right.
But then when you get them to bite on it a little bit, like, and just get them to, you've made it when they say something like, well, do you think will he throw a curveball in the dirt right now when that guy on first wants to steal? I'm like, there you go. Maybe, probably not. Probably come at him with the high cheese. And then there's the high fastball and it's like, wow, I saw why and I knew, and then you're hooked. But
yeah, that's right.
So I had like 20 years where I didn't follow the game, and I was in Taos, New Mexico, and I was working at this treatment center, and they had a baseball team, and I learned about the men's adult baseball league. And Taos, New Mexico had 4 teams. So they just had 2 games every Saturday. And it's just those 4 teams played each other. And these guys had a team, and I'm like, well, I'm in. Mostly it was guys in the treatment center, because it was a 9-month program. But the couple of the staff and 3 of us on the staff, and the rest were clients of the rehab. And so we had this bad news bears kind of team, that these guys. It was fun, and some guys just had some natural talent, and some guys did, but everybody played, and I got back into baseball again, and I was a fanatic. And my wife Sarah, well, she wasn't my wife, but I met her in Taos. This was in 2004. Her dad, she was from Chicago, and her dad had season tickets. Comiskey, in the 90s, since 92. Nice. And so then he was at USL, and we'd go back there for vacation and stuff during the summer, and I'd get to see a dozen games. We'd schedule it around a homestand.
That's awesome.
So we could go to the White Sox games. And I got into it. So I was really into the White Sox and Paul Konerko, and he was the guy on that team that I really
He was a former Red.
He was a Dodger too. He came up as a Dodger. He was a catcher.
Yeah.
And he was a Red. That's right.
Not for long.
That's right. He was not for long. Well, yeah, but yeah, you wonder how these guys, what happens, but they end up where they end up and in a World Series.
Yeah.
So that year in 2005. They won the World Series, and my Steelers won the Super Bowl. So I decided this was a match made in heaven.
That's right.
And we got married. and I just was a White Sox guy. And then when I came to LA in 2010, I still watched the White Sox because I was still with my girl's mom, Sarah. But then we split up, and there went my White Sox games, and it was like, well, the Dodgers are here, or the Angels, and I'm going to be a Dodger fan. And I'm geek about the Dodgers now. I know.
Yeah.
And when I lived in Mexico, their Isotopes, that's their AAA team.
Yeah.
Albuquerque. So
it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense. What about fantasy baseball? You in any leagues?
No, I kind of stay away from things because that can be addictive.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Like I don't play video games. I don't
do that either.
Because it will suck my life. in.
Yeah.
And I'm just, cause I'm an addict. I'm in recovery and
yeah,
you let me do anything twice and I'm addicted to it.
No, I totally get that. I avoid video games for that very reason, because I know I'll get into them and it'll be in. But I've played on a fantasy baseball team, same 16 team league. We got full minor league teams, 20 years we've been playing. So that one I've stuck with, and the majority of those owners have played the entire 20 years. So we've just been playing.
So how much of your life does it get?
It takes up a little time. It takes up a little time. It takes up a little time. But I've won 2 years in a row.
It's all worth it.
That's right. Now, those years that I don't win, though, not worth it. Every year when I don't win, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. And then spring rolls around, and there I am.
And you get the fever. So you have a family.
Yes.
You have how many kids?
I've got 4 kids, 3 grandkids.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I'm loaded up now. All the grandkids are 15 months and younger. They're fairly new.
It all happened at once. Huh?
That's right. All happened at once.
15. Wow. Well, see, that's the thing. I love being a dad. Isn't it great?
Yeah, it's awesome.
I just think it's. But you've been doing it a lot longer than I have. I mean, you got my kids. My kids are 11, 9, and 2.5.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's pretty. So you're at some fun ages there, but I'll tell you, grandparents even better, because you can send them home. Yeah. You can do all the fun stuff and then send them home.
Yeah. Well, I'm not with either. It's 2 different wives, and I'm with neither of them.
Okay. So you get some breaks in there.
I'm a half-time parent, which is a great deal, because
it's not bad.
It's time for them. They're ready to go back to mom. I'm ready. It's been 3 or 4 days. Yeah, go on to mom's. And then 3 or 4 days later, I'm like, get back here so I can be super dad. Right. And so they get the best of me. It's a good deal for everybody.
That's not bad. Yeah, I've been through that. We've my wife and I have both been divorced. We get along great with the exes, and when we grown up, when the kids were grown up, we did that. We just traded them back and forth, and it was not bad.
Yeah, it's not a bad. It's not a bad, because y'all can do stuff too.
That's right. Yeah, we got time to ourselves.
It's like, hey, we got 3 days off this week or whatever. Yeah. What do you do?
And then when the kids come, you can actually concentrate on the kids, and it's not bad. The burnout doesn't happen
unless you get caught up in a fantasy baseball or like
that. That stuff happens. I can't be held responsible. They had the option to play with me. They didn't choose it.
Hey, that's on them.
That's on them. I did what I could. Well, so Chris, let's start. We started with baseball, but let's start here. How did you? I always like to hear, how did you get into the entertainment business? Because that's not an easy business to break into.
Well, I followed this girl into a building, and she turned out to be an acting class.
Really?
No.
Yeah. That's I was going to say, I've heard this story before. You did listen to that Lou Temple interview.
I listened to my Lou buddy. Hey, Lou, how you doing, man? Lou, let's just talk about Lou for a second, and then I'll get to this. So Lou, I don't even remember how he and I knew each other. We'd probably just from seeing each other at auditions and stuff. Yeah. And we'd said, hey man, I saw you in that thing with Denzel or whatever. And just giving props. And I don't remember how it happened. We do have, maybe it was through my buddy, Ronnie Jean Blevins, might be, because I know the us or maybe through Jake. I don't know. We just know each other. And we were doing a short film to promote kind of a sizzle on this TV pilot I wrote called Antebellum. That's about this ragtag group that's kind of trying to navigate their way through pre-Civil War America, kind of trying to figure out what side of the fence they want to be on music.
I probably like that.
Yeah, it's great. And it's gritty and it's violent, but it's funny and it's it's kind of got a Breaking Bad vibe to it because it's gruesome. Sometimes it's a high body count, but it's also sometimes it's just hilarious. You know?
Yeah.
There's like Breaking Bad, a lot of really funny moments in it.
It did. Absolutely did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like that, only, you know, Civil War. Anyway, I asked Lou, I sent him over. We were just, and it was kind of a lazy move on my part. I said, let's just shoot the first 10 pages of the pilot. And these investors said, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. Totally lazy move. I mean, some people say that's good because you just really want people to go, what happens next? And you want to see the tone of it. If you would have cut together a sizzle or a trailer that would have had, you know, that you wouldn't have been able to know the pace and
that's right
tone of it. You know, this is like stepping into that world for 12 minutes and seeing how you know, that's the justification that we're giving it. But I don't know. But Lou said he would do it, and so I sent him the script, and he said he'd do it. And you know, this is a film. There's no real money in it. I think you get it like $100 or something, right?
Yeah.
So he said he'd do it, and then we got it was going to be a 2-day shoot, and we get the thing, and we get the shooting schedule, and all Lou's stuff is on day 2. Well, somebody invited him on day 1, and I didn't even know he was there, but sitting cooling his heels in his trailer like all day, and
oh man,
out in the desert. Yeah, and I didn't even know he was there. And he left, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we're not going to." He was pissed, and I had to call him up and say, "Lou, buddy, I'm sorry, man. I didn't know they called you. I would have told them not to call you. I knew that we're not going to get to you today. And you know, these guys are, you know, not every. It's the, you know, the group of people you get when you're shooting short. You know, it's
that's right.
You know, there's people make mistakes. And anyway, I got him to come back the next day, and it was great. It was great. I'm so glad he stayed with us because he had to be this cowboy that was like insane from syphilis and you know, just in this dream state of infection and near death and kind of taking himself out, going into this whorehouse thing to give himself a send off. You know, it could only be done by Lou. You know, it was just perfect what he did. And so Lou, again, buddy, thanks for doing that, man. So that's
Lou's terrific. Yeah, we're big fans of Lou. Wait, so where can we watch this movie?
Well, it hasn't been made. It's a pilot, and
we got to make it.
We had Jason Momoa attached to it for a minute. He wanted to be a part of it, and there wasn't even anything for him in the pilot. He just said, I want to be in this world. So I added this half Creole, half Native American who grew up in a whorehouse of New Orleans. And he doesn't know anything about Indian stuff. You know, he outside, he doesn't know. He can't build a fire, you know, and he's this big beast of a man who can't fight. He doesn't know how to fight. He doesn't know how to do anything. So it was really kind of a funny character, and he loved it. And then he had this little project called Aquaman come along and ruin it for all of us. So
come on, Jason.
I'm like, dude, you should have passed on that because, you know, you're already committed to this. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you got to get that made. That sounds awesome.
It's good. It's got some more traction right now. It's hooked up with a couple guys at Industry Entertainment. These guys like Keith Addis and Mike Abrams that are like players. These guys that get shit made. So Harry Hamlin brought it to them, and we got Michael Jai White attached to it. And,
oh wow, Spawn.
I don't know. You never know. Yeah, Spawn. He and I be really good friends. Michael Jai White comes out to the house sometimes, and he and I did we worked together on a little movie in Baton Rouge. I was doing a little movie called Philly Kid. This is probably like 8 years ago, and Mike was in Baton Rouge doing prep for like I don't know, Universal Soldier 12 or something, right?
Right.
He was in town for that, and producers heard about it and said, hey, can you come over and do a cameo on our little movie over here? And they got a deal, and he came over, and I got to meet him, and we exchanged numbers and stuff, but we never really talked. And then I ran into him 5 years later. This is still a couple of years ago, at the premiere of Shot Caller, the prison movie that I was in.
Yeah.
And you know that movie?
I do know that movie.
Rick Waugh directed that. He's the Waugh family, Scotty Waugh and the dad and granddad, and they're all big stunt family, Hollywood royalty in the stunt business. And anyway, Rick Waugh wrote and directed a movie called Felon about 10 years ago with Val Kilmer and Stephen Dorff and Sam Shepard. A cool little prison movie. And
that one actually is. I love Val Kilmer, so that was
I like it better than Shot Caller.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. You were great in it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be the public defender. That's what they brought me in for.
Really?
Yeah, that's a cool story too. If you remember what we were talking about, I'll segue into that for a minute. But don't ask me to remember.
I'll get you back on track. You just keep going.
All right, well, because I love this story, because it's what created my friendship with Rick Waugh. They called me in to read for the public defender, and it was a lot of talk, but it was all public defender talk. There wasn't a character arc or anything. It was just it was exposition. It was to tell the audience what the hero's up against, right? and there wasn't much I could do with it, but I went in a shirt and tie and all combed and cleaned up and shaved and did it. And Rick and I chatted and stuff, and he and I got along great. And he's like, I think you're going to be in this movie. And they never tell you that,
Right.
And so I talked to Angelique Midthunder, who was the casting director, and I said, she's a friend of mine, so I reached out to her and I said, hey, what about this Danny Sampson character? Are they going to bring it? Because I was living in Taos, New Mexico, and this was a local hire. And I said, are they bringing that guy from Los Angeles? It's not a big part, but everyone in the movie says Danny Sampson's name, so it feels like a big part.
Right.
Even though he's in 3 or 4 scenes and that's it, but everyone's talking about Danny Sampson, the head of the Brotherhood, and he's a sleeper, and they can't validate him, and anyway. So she gets back to me. She says, Rick says that you can read for it tomorrow at
awesome
or whatever. And he said, he told me to tell you not to get your hopes up, because he doesn't see you on that side of the bars, is what he said. But he didn't know that how much time I've spent on that side of
That's right.
bars. I've been busted 20 times. I spent 3 years of my life behind bars studying those guys. I was a drug addict, right? And a petty thief. And so I saw those
What
guys.
What makes a thief a petty thief? How big do you have to
the
go?
Amount.
How big you have to go before you get rid of the petty?
$1,000.
That's not very big.
It's not that big. They can hit you with a felony. Hit you with a felony at $1,000. But also, if you've been convicted of petty theft before, you can be charged with a felony code 666. That's telling.
It is.
Which is petty with a prior. Petty with a prior can become a felony, and they can get you to prison for your second petty theft. I got 5 of them and never caught the felony. But anyway, so I went to my friend Katie Dewitt, who's the makeup artist in New Mexico, and she put me up. I went by and saw her, and she put a big mustache on me and slicked me back and made me all pale. And I put on a wife beater, and I got all pumped up, and I was sitting in the hallway, and I saw Rick go by, and I was like, Rick, how you doing? And he's like, oh, hey man, like playing it off like he knew who he was, and he had no idea. And I just talked to him like the day before for 30 minutes, but I looked completely different.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so I went in and I did the Danny Sampson thing, and he goes, wow, man, I was wrong. You're Danny Sampson. And he hired me right on the spot. And then for the movie, yeah, and we got to be friends, and he had twins coming, we had twins coming, and he was really helpful about that, and got to be good friends. And then Shot Caller came along, and it's how there's the existing Shot Caller who eventually gets taken down and replaced by the hero, right?
Yeah, right.
He wrote the original Shot Caller, the guy they called the Beast. He wrote that for me. For me. And I came in and read for it. He goes, that's exactly what I had in mind. That's perfect. And in the end, producers wouldn't let me have it because I didn't have the Twitter followers or whatever. So, so I hate that. So the part I ended up, it's all there's a formula for that shit. And anyway, I didn't have it. So, so here's what Rick Waugh does. He wrote the Redwood character that I ended up playing. Yeah. Wrote it into the movie just to keep me in the movie. He added that character.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's who Rick Waugh was. Yeah. And in fact, he brought me to Bulgaria to do one scene in Angel Has Fallen with Gerard Butler. Just to throw me a bone. Just like, hey, man, I got this part.
That's awesome.
Do it. They would never normally bring a guy from Los Angeles to Bulgaria to do one scene.
Yeah, right.
Unless it's a star, or something. Yeah, that's who Rick. Yeah, he hooked me up. He's a good guy, really good guy. Yeah. But see, I've forgotten what we were talking about.
Well, I was asking because they're great stories. I was just asking how you got into the entertainment business. What made you want to be an actor?
That's a good story too, because it was kind of an accident thing. I never thought I'd be an actor. There's no way, because I was very shy. I was always like the new guy. And, by the time I got to Pennsylvania, that was like my 10th school. So,
oh, wow.
it was just always really self-conscious and just never thought. I was kind of a class clown, but the idea of having to get up and make a speech in front of the school for student council president or something was terrifying. And I always said, nope, I'm not, no way. And so I wanted to be a screenwriter though. And I was working in this warehouse and up in Reno, where I was born in Tahoe. So my dad always lived in Reno or Tahoe. And I was out there after college, bumming around, partying a lot, and working in a warehouse. And I was telling a guy I worked with that I wanted to get in, write screenplays. And he's like, oh, I had a friend that got into that. He went to a school called the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'll go there. Yeah. And so I went there, and I was all enrolled. Well, the first time I tried to go, I should have been a clue that I had to do 2 monologues to get into the school, and it just didn't even, because I never once went, well, I'm going to be a screenwriter. Why do they want me to do a monologue?
Right.
And it didn't even occur to me. And I did terrible. I did such bad monologues. I didn't know what a monologue was. I knew nothing about acting.
Right.
And I thought they were grading me on my memorization skills. I got 100 out of 100. I didn't miss a comma. I got every word. And I stood there. I remember just standing there reciting these words like a speech. Like I just like boom, 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 and done. Nailed it. And it's these, and it was these heavy monologues. One was I had to do a drama and I had to do a comedy, and just stood there and said them. It was so bad. And she wouldn't let me. She said, no, you're not ready, and told me to go to some workshops and try again next year. So I went back to Reno and then they called me. I was back. I'd left my apartment and everything, and was living in my dad's house in his basement, and they called like 3 days before school started and said, "Hey, we're an opening. I want to give you a shot." And so I went back down there, threw everything in and I had a 77 Jimmy, and I threw everything in that and tied my bed to the roof and drove down to, it was in Pasadena at the time. And I got in there, and I remember talking to the director and saying, you know, I want to focus primarily on screenwriting, you know? And
yeah.
She was like, "The fuck are you talking about, man? This is a theater school. What are you doing? Here's your schedule. Focus on this. It's the same as everybody. Here's your schedule. And you're going to be doing stage combat and voice and speech and vocal production and movement and Shakespeare and all things for acting on the stage." And I was terrified.
Sure.
And the first few days of school, I didn't have a place to live. I slept in the parking lot of the school up on my roof because that's where my bed was. I slept there like Snoopy. And then I'd wake up, you know, dawn, and I'd go into the school and clean up and that's how I did school for the first few days till I kept looking for an apartment. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I was terrified. I was so terrified. And
you made it though.
I made it. You have to be invited back second year, and they only take a quarter students back. And by the time the end of the first year, I picked up enough where they saw something and they invited me back for second year. But it was all, you know, aside from doing like scene studies in class and things like that, I hadn't really been on a stage in front of a bunch of people before,
right?
You know, and at the end of the year they have exam plays, and they fill this. They had a couple of big theaters, and they fill up these theaters, and they do. There's two plays. They either give you two medium-sized roles, or they give you like a lead and then a little bit part on the other one. And I had this little part in one, but I had John Proctor in The Crucible in the other one.
That's a big part.
It's a big part, and I did that, and I was so nervous, and then something happened. It was like, you know, in football, you're so nervous until that first hit, you know,
right?
And then it's on. You're in that mode for the rest of the game, you know. And it was kind of like that. So once I got up there and started doing it, I got out of me and all the fear and just like, you know, be this guy. If you're this guy and he trips on the furniture, too bad for him, you know.
That's right.
I want to hide in the character because I don't want to be up there tripping on shit in front of these people. Yeah. So
you're a gamer.
And I'd always heard about these things. I'd cling to these little tidbits like, oh yeah, I remember hearing that Richard Dreyfuss was so nervous and so uncomfortable about doing something like The Tonight Show that he would throw up. He would just puke because he can do anything as an actor, but to go out and be Richard Dreyfuss was terrifying to him. And that makes so much sense to me. And
yep, I get that.
Yeah. And that's still to this day, it's I get more nervous about doing this than I do being on a set.
I get that. I've always heard that a lot of actors are introverts. So mm-hmm. I kind of get that. You know, if you have to be yourself and you're kind of an introvert, I could see where that would be kind of scary.
Yeah. And you'd see like, I mean, there's, you know, obviously people like Robin Williams. You don't even know, like, he had a character that he played in life, you know.
Right.
He was at a party. He's just at the party being crazy and wild and, you know, improvising and making people laugh all day long. But that's not who he was. But that's the character he became just to go through life, you know. Like, he was probably pretty shy, but he had to be on all the time.
All the time. Yeah. It was kind of tragic the way that worked out, because obviously he had a lot going on that, you know, nobody really knew.
Yeah, Yeah. And it's like, well, you know, why? Because he's being, you know, he's that crying on the inside clown. And,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, it's like, I always wondered, like, what does he talk about? Like when he's just, you know, at home, does he have anybody that he's just like, hey, good morning, you know? Does he ever do that, or does he go, whoa, you know, to everybody?
Right. You kind of got the feeling he was on all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. So you've been in some really big movies. You know, I'm nerdy, but I love westerns. And you got to be in 3:10 to Yuma, which was a great movie the first time around, and then they remade it, and it was still awesome. So that was pretty cool. And Cowboys and Aliens, you got a part in that.
Yeah, man. I love me some westerns. I would. That's why
you've got a face for westerns. I think you could make a career out of just westerns.
I would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call somebody. Make that happen.
Yeah. It's going to happen. You know, just wait. Once this interview gets out there, phone's going to be ringing.
Yeah. I could do western. That's what I wanted to get this pilot Antebellum off the ground, because it's, you know, it's just cowboy stuff. You know, it's and there's great characters in it. That's what I like. You know, Harry Hamlin wants to be this
love Harry Hamlin.
He's a great dude and a genius. I mean, he's crushing it in the world. Like he's making money doing more things. He hadn't even scratched the surface with the money that guy makes just with his brain, putting businesses
really?
together. Oh my God, he's a Yale genius. These guys are doing fusion and designing electric cars that are going to make, like,
oh wow,
Tesla look like a toaster. Yeah. Yeah. He's a genius, and he wants to be amazing. He wants to be this journalist on the run that, you know, I originally wrote it for, like, I had someone like Sam Rockwell in mind, or I wanted to have a guy who just, or maybe even younger, and someone who kept waking up in the wrong bedrooms in society, New York, you know, like the millionaire's daughter.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, he's running for his life. And then Harry, you know, I gave it to Harry to read, and I thought he wanted to play this Anderson guy who's like an old, you know, gunman. And I'm like, wow, that's actually good casting. I would never put you and see you in playing something like that. He goes, no, I want to be the journalist. And I was like, well, actually, that would work. There's no reason why it wouldn't. I'm just waking up with the millionaires' wives instead of their daughters.
Right,
you know,
right, yeah.
But still waking up in the wrong bed and being a romancer. He's perfect for that because he's so smooth and So he made me rethink that, and I went, oh, it's even better. And, you know, I hope it keep up, Harry. Let's go to work.
Yeah, let's go to work. I'm ready. Well, you got to be in Terminator Salvation.
Yeah. Second time I worked with Bale.
Well, I was going to ask you, you know, Salvation's the one he got a lot of the bad press on. I was going to ask you.
I was there.
Well, yeah. So what happened there? You know, he kind of had a meltdown. That poor guy.
I was there. And it's funny because I've gotten to be friends with the DP that he went off on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I did some work for him. He lives out here. And I was like, wow, this is the guy that he went off on, because he's a sweetheart of a guy. I'm not going to name him, but, you know, it's not hard to find. But
right.
But I watched Christian, because Christian, I'll tell anyone that'll listen, he's a generous, down-to-earth, real guy. Yeah. He's not that high maintenance pain in the ass that everyone thought when that tape came out.
Right.
In his defense, here's an example. Let me just talk about Christian Bale for a minute.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do this. So I'm on 3:10 to Yuma. I'm pretty new. I've been off. I tried heroin once for 6 years and lived in the bushes around Los Angeles. So I went from I had a couple sitcoms in the 90s living in the bushes and falling off the earth for 6 years, and spent half that time in jail. So I finally get sober, and I moved to Taos and said, forget it. I'm just going to have a quiet little life, and for the business, I'm staying here. I'm going to have a quiet life and just not die. I'll build adobes or something. And that just happened to be, that was in 2004. That was when they started their taxes to bring productions to New Mexico.
Yep.
So they pulled me back in, and overnight, everyone in the state became an actor with their bullshit resumes and their headshots, and they're like, oh, here's a bunch of fake productions I've been in, and because they have all these local hires of parts that come available, and all these agents started sprouting up, and anyway, I got an agent, and I booked like all the time because I'd done this. I was already, I had a career in LA, and I had experience. And but I've done some little parts or some little movies and small stuff, but I was on 310 to Yuma with Russell Crowe and Christian Bale.
That's right.
And I'm like, wow.
That's right. That's amazing.
So I'm still pretty nervous, and I'm watching. So I'm studying Christian like a hawk, right? And we're doing this. We're doing the scene where we arrest Russell Crowe in the saloon, and I get sent out of the scene because the marshal says, go around, get the jail wagon, and bring it around front. So I exit the scene, and the scene plays out more with the guy, I forget his name, but he was the guy that represented the railroad, and he's saying, I'll give any man $200. It'll come with me to help get Russell's character put on the train, on the 310 train to Yuma. And so there's a big conversation with everybody in there, and Christian's one line is, I'll do it. Right.
Right.
And I'm watching, I've exited the scene. So I'm around on the corner, and I'm just watching Christian Bale work, and I see him from across the room. I see the great Christian Bale go, I'll do it. And I'm like, really? That's it? So that's all you got? Fucking Christian Bale. And then I went to the monitors, and I watched the playback. And I was like, oh my God. Oh, wow. Because in there, you can, when the camera's right here, you can see him thinking $200 is a lot of money, but my ranch is drying up. There's a drought. I'm probably going to die, but $200 will save my family. It'll save my ranch. It'll take care of them. And that's important. Yeah, I'm scared. I don't want these guys to know I'm scared. So I'm going to try to say it brave, but yeah, here it goes. I'll do it. And it was like, wow, it was all there. And so, a few days later, we're standing around in the sagebrush between setups, and I started talking because he was that guy. I didn't see Russell much. He would be back in the Escalade and back to his trailer if we were down for a short time. But Christian was like, no, I'm fine. No, I can get my own water. Thanks, Karen. He's just that guy. And he would, and I realized early on, he's going to let me ask him about anything. He's just letting me talk to him. And,
that's awesome.
And so I brought that up. I said, dude, I thought, really, that's it? I watched you say it from over there, and then I watched the playback, and he goes, and he, to his credit, he gave credit to Michael Caine for that. He said,
really?
He goes, yeah. He goes, and I give it all to Michael Caine because when we were doing Batman, they did Batman and they did The Prestige together. And, and he said, Michael Caine kind of took me under his wing and taught me a lot. He said, I was putting all this mustard on every line in Batman because I was Batman.
Right.
So I figured Batman does everything. It's Batman. and Michael Caine said, just do nothing, mate, and pick a fucking eye. That's it. Just stop putting all this shit. Just do nothing, mate. And it was like, because he said, if you're thinking it, it shows up. That's why poker players wear sunglasses. Because if you even think, fuck, I got 3 kings. People are throwing cards down, it's like you just thought about your cards. People are throwing them. You shouldn't have even thought it. Even if you're saying, I got 4 of a kind and I'm going to put on my best poker face. Fold. It's just, you
out.
can smell it. Yeah. Yeah. And I learned a lot, because I learned that. And I'm like, well, Christian, my big scene is burning alive in a stagecoach, man. It's not like I can just do nothing, mate. He's like, well, yeah, there's exceptions, man. But the freeing thing about burning alive is you can't go too big.
Right.
No one's going to say, no one would be that
overactor
in that much pain. Yes, you can scream as much as you want. And when I did the audition for that movie, they had like 4 or 5 bit parts, smaller parts that were, some of them were around a lot. I worked for five weeks on that movie because I was around a lot. I was an out of focus deputy in the background, or, whatever. So I worked a lot on that movie, but that was the one I didn't want to do because the audition scene was the burning alive scene. And I'm with my wife, up in Taos. My fiance at the time. And I didn't want to rehearse that one. I had 5 roles to read for, and I could learn this one. It was a conversation about the marshal, and this one was about my farm. So I could work all those little scenes out, but I wasn't going to be rolling around screaming and yelling in the house to do that scene. So I was just hoping they would forget about it. And so they're like, which one do you have? I go, I got Marshall Taylor. Okay, let's do that. And we'd do it. What else you got? I guess she got Sheriff Jenkins from the, yeah, let's do that. And, I got the coal mine guy. Oh yeah, great, or whatever. And we did that. And I was like, all right, thanks guys. And Jim Mangold is there in the room. And I was almost to the door, and I hear him say, wasn't there another one? And they go, Chris, didn't you have another one to do? And I'm like, I don't, oh yeah, there was this one, this Deputy Crawley. Yeah, let's do that one. Yeah. So I was so unprepared, and there's nothing worse than doing a terrible job in a scene that it's terrible. Like, right. You're just failing and you still keep going. It's like, why would I do more of this for him? And I did it, and I finished it. And Jim Mangold was so funny. He goes, okay, let's do it again. And remember that this is about fire, not ants. You seemed uncomfortable. And that cracked me up so much, and it broke down the barrier, and I was laughing, kind of having him making fun of me. It just loosened it all up, and I was laughing, and I'm like, all right, let's do it again. So we did it again, and I was screaming and rolling on the floor and spitting and yelling and dying. And he goes, yeah, that's it. He said, yeah, that's it. And then he knew I was about to get married, or I think I had just gotten married, and he knew I was about to leave for my honeymoon. So he told me on the spot, he said, just so you don't have to worry about it while you're on your honeymoon, you're hired. Have a great time. Awesome. Have a great time. We'll see you when you get back. And I was like,
that's
yes.
Terrific. Yeah. That's a good guy.
Good guy. And then we were coming back from Costa Rica about a week before filming started. Yeah. And we were flying through Houston on our way to Albuquerque, and we entered the country at Houston, and Customs was sitting there waiting for me when I got off the airplane. They arrested me. Oh. And I'm 2 years sober. 2 years sober. And I'm like, what the hell did I do now? And it turned out I was always taking these deals that I didn't even remember because I was kicking heroin when I went to court. Right. I don't remember even being there, much less.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I took a thing called a joint suspension, which is basically let me go now and put a 3-year prison term over my head. And if I so much as come in contact with a police officer in the next 3 years, I go to prison. Right. And it's formal probation. You have to be, testing regularly. You have to have a job. You have to have an address. You have to pay the fees. It's a whole thing. Totally forgot I even took that deal. And And then I got sober, moved to Taos, had a great little life going, working in a treatment center, building adobes, being a river guide on the
nice.
Rio Grande. Yeah. I mean, it was playing baseball. It was wonderful. And I'm sitting in a Houston jail looking at 3 years. And they sure enough sent 2 deputies out from Los Angeles who escorted me like Dillinger on an airplane with a windbreaker over my handcuffed hands, a cop on either side, sitting in an airplane on a commercial flight.
That had to be terrifying.
It was it was, because I'm supposed to start this movie. And I got to be, I would love to know these cops though, because I got to be friends with them. And I'm like, I'm just a little drug charge guy. Like, what the hell how much y'all spending to do this? It's like,
right. That seems like a lot.
Yeah. And they're like, we don't know. We just go where we're told, I started talking about the movie, and they said, well, what's the part? And I was like, I'm you guys. I'm you guys, only in the 1800s. I have to I'm Russell Crowe, you guys are escorting Russell Crowe to get him in front of the judge, right? That's my job. I'm the deputy that's escorting Russell Crowe to the judge in Yuma, the 310 train to Yuma to get him in front of the judge. I'm doing what you guys are doing right now. And they just love that. So by the time we got back, they were going to put me in LA County downtown. It's 20,000 people down there. It takes 2 days just to get a bunk. And because you're going through processing, and it's a nightmare. And so you're waiting in lines for 48 hours before you even have a bunk. And until you have a bunk, you're not going to court.
Right.
And filming starts Monday. And they said, if we don't hear from Chris, because my wife's making up stories and shit, and they said, if we don't hear from him over the weekend, we're recasting. And it's Thursday night, and I'm coming back to LA. I'm going to be in processing on Friday, on Friday and Saturday. I won't even have a bunk until Saturday, so I can't even go to court until Monday. Right.
You had to just be thinking, well, it's over.
It's over.
Career's over.
It's over. And I saw, but here's what these cops did. Bless their hearts. They said we could take him over to Linwood Station, and maybe they could bring him to court tomorrow. Linwood's it's a little station, a local, sheriff station. It's a small thing. And they said, if we take him over there, they could throw him in a van and get him to court. We'll see if they want to do that. They go there.
That's not bad.
We get to Linwood. They tell them what the plan is, and these cops meet me, and they go, yeah, we can do that. So I spent the night in Linwood. Friday morning, I'm in front of the judge, and it's not my judge. My judge is on vacation, and this lady judge is all she's doing is continuing things for 2 weeks. And my buddy, he's a lawyer, he showed up, and he's like, forget the movie, man. We're trying to keep you out of prison. You violated about 15 things. You didn't ever pay. You never went to probation, never reported. He's reading the things like subject never reported, subject never paid required fees, subject left the state.
That's not ideal.
Subject never tested, suitable prison term is recommended. And I'm like, shit. And the judge, and he said, and this judge isn't even going to listen to you. She's just continuing things. And he went out there and started dancing anyway for the judge and hoping. And she said, you know what? I think I would like to hear from the defendant. So I'm thinking, oh, make it good, man, make it good. And thinking like a junkie, and it was like, oh, wait a minute, you don't have to make it good. Just tell them about your life. And
just tell them.
I started telling him about this life, this new life of being this sober guy who's on my way home from my honeymoon, and I play baseball, and I help work with these young guys trying to get sober, and I'm a river guide, and I'm supposed to start this big movie on Monday, and I'm like getting sad for myself.
Well, yeah, why would you?
It got all emotional, and I go, honestly, Your Honor, I mean, look at my file. I know better. I didn't know. I said, I've look at my file. I've been in the system long enough to know better than to get on an international flight with a felony fugitive warrant, you know?
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, I think you would know that. So she goes, I'm going to grant bail. And I was like, wow, okay. And then she goes, wait a minute, where does this thing film? And I went, oh shit, because it films in Santa Fe. It's out of state.
Yeah.
Can't leave the state on bail. So I said, Santa Fe. And she goes, you know what? I'm going to order that your employer piss test you every month for the next 3 months. We'll see you back here. This was in October. We'll see you back here in January. So she ordered me out of the state to get drug tested.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I could do that movie. Isn't that awesome? That great story.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows where you'd be?
Who knows?
Yeah.
I could have just said, you know what? If this is what the universe is doing, screw it. You know, I could have gone off the deep end right there. It didn't take much. You know, I used to get loaded over a flat tire. You know.
I mean, okay. So I'm gonna bring us all the way back. What happened with Christian that day that he?
Oh my God, we're still at Christian Bale. That's right.
Yeah, right. So what happened?
So that's just your background on 310 to You and how I know Christian, right?
Yeah.
So then it's a couple years later, and I'm going to be on set with him again, and I know I'm going to run into him, and I'm planning my greeting. Because I don't want him to be on the spot going, hi, you.
Yeah, you.
Yeah. So I got it all out in one breath. You know, I'm ready. I'm rehearsing it. It's going to be like, Christian, how you doing? It's Chris Browning for 310 to You, Miles Crawley, and blah, 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 blah. Right?
Right.
So we can go, oh, yeah. And I see him getting a tea at the craft service thing, and I come over there, and I go, Christian, how you doing? He goes, Chris, how you doing, man? How's Sarah?
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Your little girl, what's her name? Lydia? Because his wife, who I know her name is CB, I only know that because my initials are CB. So That's how I remember it. But they had a little girl like 2 weeks before or after we did. And so it was you know, but I was like, oh man, that's great. And
you made an impression.
He goes, by the way, I thought you did a really good job with that scene. I know you were kind of worried about it and stuff. And I was like, wow, thanks, man.
That's awesome.
Christian Bale. And so then listen to this. So I'm hired on as a local, right? And they treated us like a step above extras, like wouldn't even give us the script.
Yep.
And I'm one of Christian Bale's guys in the movie. And we get the sides for the day. It's just the pages that we're doing, but I've never read the script. Yeah. And then they decide, let's put Chris Browning in this scene. And I'm not normally in the scene. So I don't even know the scene. And because I don't have those pages, right? Or no, I guess we all had the same sides. That's right. So I knew the scene, but I didn't. He goes, Chris, you'll be down here at the bottom of the stairs, and Christian will come down the stairs, and you two will have a moment, and then he'll go over to Common and finish the scene over there. And I'm looking at Christian like, a fucking moment. We're gonna have a moment, you know. And he saw my face, and he goes, "Hey, McGee, hold on a second, and hold on, just give me a minute. I'm gonna talk to Chris for a minute." He takes me for a little walk, and mind you, this is a $200 million movie, so do the math. It's like $50,000 a second, you know, or a minute to do this. And, you know, he takes me away for like $100,000 walk and says, okay, so here's what's going on. There were 6 of us that left. We were supposed to be back that night. We're 2 days overdue. And so it's great that I've made it back, but it sucks that I'm the only one that made it back. And I'm like, very useful information. Thank you. That's going to help me.
That's going to help, yeah.
In my acting. Yeah. So, but from that day, so we did that. We had our little moment and it worked great. But from that day forward, I became a guy that people said, "Good morning, Chris. How you doing? Can I get you a water? Can I?"
He helped you out.
Well, they didn't know. They were like, oh shit, he's Christian. He's Christian's buddy. You know, we're going to start treating him. We're going to stop treating him like cattle. He's a Christian's boy. So I got a lot better treatment from that day forward. But what I was going to say is I watched him. This was like 20 minutes ago when you first asked the question. I watched him. I watched him put up with a lot. Like he's trying to quietly. I don't know if you know movies. You're rehearsing between setups. They're relighting or whatever, right?
Right.
And you know, I've had DPs that you don't even know they're there. You know, they've got a shoulder mic and they're talking to people somewhere in the rafters or at some board somewhere, and he says, "Give me 10% more on number 6, and you know, put more blue in that one and bring it over there, and give me a 50K over there, right?" And then they go, "Okay, we're ready," and you're like, "Wow, really? I didn't even know you were working."
That's right.
Yeah, but there were times, and when I watched Christian just get fully interrupted, like he's working with Bryce or something in a quiet little serious scene, and it's like passing right through, going, "Oh, excuse me, mate. You know, we're trying to get this thing over here, whatever." And I watched it. I watched a lot of Christian going, "Hey, man, can you give us, you know, not do that? We're trying to work here. Oh, sorry, you know." And that's why I wasn't even sure who he was mad at, because I thought he was maybe mad at a gaffer or something, because I'm trying to remember the faces of it, because in my head, in remembering it, I thought it was somebody that had like a South African accent or something, and this guy, the DP doesn't. So I don't know. But I watched him tolerate a lot of interruptions and then politely say, "Please don't do that anymore." And the guy say, "Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't," you know, and then the next day doing it again.
Right.
And you know, after 20,
everybody has a bad day,
and everyone has their limit. And after 20 or 30 16-hour days, you're tired of the, you know, because if it keeps happening, not only are you interrupting me now, but you're telling me I don't mean shit. You know, that you're not even taking me seriously. You don't respect me because I've already asked you to stop doing this half a dozen times. So now you're just slapping me in the face.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know? It's not like we're just saying this for the first time, you know.
Yeah.
How many times do I have to ask you nicely? So we're done with nice. This is me gonna blow off some steam, you know.
We're gonna take care of this. Yeah. It's not gonna happen again.
It did not happen again. So you know, it worked.
Yeah. All right. So
that was 25 minutes ago.
Yeah, but it was a good 25 minutes. So you are helping or acting in our audio drama, The Last Saturday Night.
Yes.
Which is awesome and just been a blast. You know, it's written by Jennifer Nash. Everybody needs to check it out. It's going to be really great, and it's got just a phenomenal cast.
Y'all are signing some people up, man.
Oh my gosh, that you know, I had my brief acting role with Ed Asner.
No shit.
You know, yeah, if you're a non-actor and you got to act with Ed Asner, it's a little intimidating. So I got through it. That guy. And yeah, he was amazing. But yeah, it's such a great cast, and you know, Linnell is doing a lot of the heavy lifting on the casting side, and she's like, "What about Chris Browning?" And I was like, "I love Chris Browning."
I
knew who you were.
Oh, you really are a film buff.
Oh yeah, I'm a fan because you were on the 100. You were on this show that, you know, my wife's got family in El Paso, so we watched The Bridge. You've been all over the place. So yeah. So I knew. I was like, yes, that's you know, my head's full of useless knowledge. So that's, you know, it does me no good. But then she says that, and I'm like, he's on all this stuff, and she's like, yes. So,
wow,
that's like the Chris Browning.
That's fun.
So you know, from my side, I love the whole script, and Jennifer, I think's done a good job writing it, and you know, I'm invested because one of the stories is based on a story that I told her. So I was like, you know, that's pretty cool. I was wondering, you know, what attracted you to the, you know, audio drama is a little different. I know you've done some work on one of the Call of Duty games, so you've done some voice work.
Yeah, yeah.
What attracted you to this project?
And I kind of fell into voiceover too. I was the Miller Lite guy for a year. I was a direct TV
that's awesome.
guy.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, look up like I was a direct TV guy for 20 or 30 spots too.
You know, I'm a direct TV guy.
Oh.
I ran a call center for them for 6 years.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. I always thought they were the best, and I got them for the football package, obviously.
Yeah.
And for extra innings and you know, so I could get my White Sox.
I was there till AT&T bought them out and showed all of us the door.
Oh, really?
They're like, we got our own people.
Oh.
I'm like, okay. But that's business.
So now their service must suck.
That's right.
It's got the AT&T stamp. now.
AT&T stamp, yeah.
Now they're dropping calls and dropping satellite feeds.
I was with DirecTV like service wise for probably 20 years.
Yeah.
But now I'm just everything's streaming now anyway though. You don't really need a service. You can get all the streaming stuff. So everything we have is on, you know.
Yeah.
It's a streamer, but I love DirecTV service. I always thought
they were great. And when they were doing like serious stuff, they had you know, Rupert Sanders. Do you know who that is? He directed Snow White and the Huntsman.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And he was directing 3 spots for them, and cast me in the role of a Russian submarine captain. One of them takes place on a sub, and it was like how the whole thing was about how real their picture is, and the best quality picture, and best quality sound, right? And so he said, "Hey man, I like your voice. Will you go in this?" We're down at a submarine in Long Beach filming, and I'm sitting there with my Russian hat on and shit. And he goes, "Hey, go in this Jeep Cherokee with my sound guy and read this copy. And just read it. Don't put anything on it. Everyone they're sending me sounds too announcery."
Right.
So that's a big common spec now, is not announcery.
Not to sound announcery. Okay.
Yeah. There's actually people that give classes on losing that because of the old announcer guys. They can't help it. You know, they just can't do it. That's probably how they sound in bed. How's this? Right? So they I got in there and I just was like, in best quality picture, best quality sound. Don't just watch TV, direct TV. And they were like, yes. And so I got all those 3 spots, and then everything else they did for a while. And then they went to this comedic campaign that was always like, and don't wake up in a roadside ditch. Call DirecTV now, you know. And all of a sudden I just didn't have a job.
You were out. I remember those with the Russian sub. That's been a while.
Yeah. It's been 5-6 years. But they had the robots one was really cool. These 2 robots tearing up a guy's house, and he pauses them just as they jack one up.
Oh, I do. Yes.
Yeah, that was a cool spot.
Because that stuff came out. It was when DVRs were just kind of getting.
Yeah, and that's what it was. You can pause it in one room. DirecTV, you can pause.
I remember those.
You can.
I gotta go back and watch.
Start watching in one room, pause, and continue watching in any other room.
I gotta go back and listen to some of those and see if I can.
I still remember my lines.
Right, that's hilarious. Oh my god. So last Saturday night, what attracted you to?
Thank you.
Or was it just Linnell saying, "Hey, come help us"?
Honestly, that was it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I said yes without even looking at it.
Yeah.
You know, Linnell and I go back to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. We went to school together.
Awesome. Yeah, I knew you guys went way back, but I didn't know where. So that's
we go back 30 years.
Yeah.
And she told me about this thing, and I'm like, yeah, great. And they said, well, we got a couple parts. There's this one guy who's kind of like they say a young Jack Nicholson, and the other one who's like he's gay and he has a monologue with a lizard. And I'm like, I'll do either one. I don't care, you know. And I sent her an audition that I just did for a show, an HBO show. And I've forgotten the title of the show, but I played a guy who's very gay. And
it wasn't Westworld.
No, this hasn't even been made yet.
Oh, this hasn't been made yet. Okay.
This is just something I did a few weeks ago, but I had to put it on tape and send it in. And I sent her that. I said, here's me doing this guy who's, you know, I don't know how gay you want him, but this guy is not flaming gay, but he's not hiding it either.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so I sent her that, and she was happy with that. But then in the end, they wanted me to do Ryan. Did you hear about how I shit the bed the first time and didn't send it?
No.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah, they must have protected you from that. They didn't tell me that story.
Yeah. We did it, and I had to make an MP3 here, even though we're working on Zoom. She had me recording with my stuff because they were going to send me a mic, but I already have it for the voiceover stuff. So I made an MP3 on GarageBand, and we were on there for an hour doing it, so then we got off the call after a while, and then I totally forgot to save it.
Hey, I'm a podcast guy. We've done that.
Yeah, where the whole thing's just gone.
Yeah, it's just gone.
See, I figured, I was saying it's got to be in here somewhere, but it's not, because I don't save I used to save the GarageBand files, but it's like, why am I doing that? I'm saving it as an MP3. I don't need both, taking up space. Yeah. So now the title of my GarageBand file is some, you know, commercial title, you know, like Foot Locker voiceover Chris Browning. That's the title that's there now. And I just delete that audio and put down new audio and then save it as the actual title as an MP3, right? So you know what I'm talking about. So I just got with these great voiceover guys called Vox, and they've been keeping me busy, and I just got with them like a week ago. So I've had like 3 or 4 ththings to record every day since I got there.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, see, if you'd have got me the week before, it would still just be sitting there. You know, because I was at William Morris Endeavor for voiceover, and they just folded it up. Just all of a sudden, we don't have the voiceover department anymore. So I'm like, well, shit.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So I had a couple months where I didn't have anything, but this thing came along like right as I started with Vox, and so I recorded over it 10 times. You know, so it's gone, man. So they had to get on again yesterday and do it all again.
Oh, it's hilarious, because I hadn't heard that, but I heard that the first one went really well.
Yeah, it did. And that was the thing. I was like, well, you know what? Because we got Linnell to read with me. She didn't want to do it, but we just shamed her into doing it.
Yeah, I heard that you shamed her into it. I heard that. Yeah. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. So she got on there. She's like, fuck you. I hate you both. And then she crushed it, of course.
Yeah, she's good. I don't know why she's like that. She's really good.
She's fucking actors. You know? So insecure. So then we got her to do it again, and it was great. I mean, I think we may have even improved on what we had.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, that's terrific.
It was fun though.
I'm glad you're on it. I'm excited to hear the finished product. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, that's what I like more about doing like independent stuff, lower budget stuff. You know, on big things like on Cowboys and Aliens or something like that, or you know, you're not really just going to make up shit, right? Because you've got these guys that someone spent $1 million on this script, stick to that. But then sometimes you get the green light, and like on Book of Eli, they gave me the green light to ad lib. And,
okay.
And I was like, wow, this is cool. And so that just turned into 3 days of making shit up with Denzel.
That's hilarious.
And it was great because but now this was the Hughes brothers, and Albert Hughes is the one at the video village, watching it and cutting it all together in his head. And he's coming out on the set between takes and talking to Alan Hughes, his brother, who's the one that works with the actors, right? And he's going, how are we going to cut this together? Browning's all over the map. He's the one minute he's singing and dancing, and the next minute he's screaming at the top of his lungs. And one minute his cane is a gun, and the other minute his walking stick is like a top hat and cane bit that he's doing. It was just, I was all over the map because he gave me permission to do that. And Alan said, just let him go, man. It's going to work fine. And it did. It turned out great. And that's why. Awesome. That's why my social media handle is Hijack Leader, because
I love that.
That was the day I got my first dinger in the big leagues. That's the one I wanted to keep the ball.
Right? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you told that story. That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Well,
and that's what it is on this thing. We got to just kind of make shit up. They said just have fun with it.
Yeah. So that's one thing I like about Jennifer. She's really good about that. She doesn't have an ego that gets in the way. Just do what you need to do, and she's good with it. So
that's what Gary Whitta, the guy who wrote Book of Eli, that was his first thing. He was in management at Wired or something for a long time, and then but then he started writing scripts, and this was his first thing, and he was thanking me for bringing it to life, because he said, you found stuff in the moment. See, because like, for example, and this is when it's cool, when the writers get it, because my first line was what you got there in that pack, right?
Yeah.
But the director's got me hiding behind a sign way down the street up on the hill, right? And Denzel says something about, that's the thing about no soap, you can smell hijackers a mile away, right? And that's where we push down the sign. Have you seen the movie?
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah, that's a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did a rehearsal, and I pushed down the sign, and I come down the hill, and I walk down the road to get to Denzel, and we did it, walk through it. And after that, I asked the director, I said, well, I got all this distance to cover before I can even tell he has a pack on, I'm not going to say it from behind the sign. What you got there in that pack, because he's.
That's right.
So he said, man, you feel like saying something, just say it. And
so I love that.
That's what
that has to be freeing as an actor, although I'm sure it scares some of them.
Well, yeah, because I was hiding behind that sign going, ooh, I know, I'll try this next time. Ooh, I know, I'll try this. And that's what I did for 2 days. And it was cool. And so what ended up being in the movie was we push down the sign, and I say something like, I am impressed. This guy smelled us from 30 yards away. And then he says, like, what's that say about our hygiene? something about hygiene.
That's good.
But it's, stayed in the movie, and it filled up that spot. You know?
Yeah, I actually remember that part. You were really good in that. I like you. I like you in all your stuff. I don't want you to get a big head, but I like you in all.
Thanks, man.
Chris, this has been terrific. You got to come back, because I think we got a lot more to cover.
Oh shit, I haven't even gotten started, man.
I know. You got to come back, because I found out, we've learned that once we get past a little bit over an hour, people start thinking it's too long, because I'll talk forever.
Yeah, me too.
So we started cutting them back to at least somewhere close to an hour. But so you got to come back.
Okay.
Especially now, what else you got going on?
I got nothing, man. We can do it again in an hour.
Yeah. Part 2. So Chris, you mentioned it before, but before you go, where can people find you? What's your give all your handles on social media?
I'm Hijack Leader on Instagram. I'm just ranting about the president and stuff. I'm on Twitter as well. I just started they had me start a Twitter account when I got on Sons of Anarchy.
We didn't even touch on that one.
And it turned into like 5,000 followers in about 3 days, and it's just stayed there.
You started strong.
I started real strong, and it's still just that. And so I don't even know if those people are.
Yeah, we talked to Ron Perlman Sunday. We had him on Sunday.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I've worked with him a couple times.
Yeah,
we worked on that, and we did a thing with a thing called Tom Jane movie called I don't know. It was terrible, but we run that together too. He's a funny guy. He's a really funny guy. Tom Jane was wearing this like coat that had this big fur collar on it because we were in New Mexico. It was cold at night and stuff, and he's got this big furry thing on, and Perlman goes, it's a nice coat there. It's a nice coat. He goes, yeah, thanks. My wife gave it to me. And he said, why, was she done with it?
Oh, that's good.
Just like that. I'm like, well, that's quick.
That's awesome. Quick. Well, Chris, thank you. Thank you for the time. This has been awesome. It's been a blast.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
It's been
anytime.
Been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Well, we'll have you back, and I'm sure we'll talk more with the last Saturday night stuff. I'm sure.
I hope so. Yeah.
Our paths will cross.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. I'm hoping when all this stuff ends and we can come out west again, we can all meet up and have dinner or something. Do something in person.
That'd be great. Well, that's the thing. I was already thinking about that with like this thing. If it goes the route of what's that show, Homecoming?
Yeah. Homecoming.
That was a podcast that they said, Julia Roberts said, hey, let's make a series out of this, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing here, right? That's the plan. Well, I'm out, man. If it goes to TV, if it goes to show, I'm out. And this is about a bunch of 30-somethings, not my old man ass.
Nah,
I'm not in the crew of the 30-year-old, like
me neither.
The cast of Friends. Yeah. I'll be on there somewhere, hopefully.
You'll be there.
I'll be Ryan, the guy who can't pay his rent that's living.
That's right. There will be a role.
Yeah. Well, actually,
I'm out. Now. Once it goes off of voice, I'm like, they're like,
no.
Somebody
just told you in advance. If
it
just goes anywhere, you don't.
Goes anywhere, I'm out. I was like, I'm fine. I'm just happy to be a part.
All right, man.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. When do I see this thing? Where's it going to be? How do I?
Well, so it'll be on our YouTube channel. It'll be on all the audio podcasting channels, but I'll send you the links when it.
Okay.
I think the plan is to post these once last Saturday night comes out. So a couple weeks probably, and we'll
okay. Yeah. Cool.
I'll send all that to you. Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Really, really good time. Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. This has been a blast. Thank you.
Yeah. See you next time.
All right, Chris. We'll see you.
All right.
Hi, I'm Sherilyn Fenn from Twin Peaks. What did you do on your last Saturday night? It's a new scripted podcast series that starts right at the beginning of lockdown, when a single mother and out-of-work writer named Gigi realizes that everything is about to change.
Did you hear something?
Toilet paper.
People are hoarding it. I should have done that.
The Last Saturday Night, an ElectraCast podcast. You'll love it.
Episodes available June 28th, wherever you listen to podcasts.
ElectraCast.
If I can. All right. So that was Chris Browning, who was awesome. And oh my gosh, we could have talked all night and just didn't have the time. He was amazing. I had so many more questions, but he had the best stories. That was awesome. Thank you guys for listening. Please check us out on Facebook under MeisterCon. Check out our website, meistercon.com. If you want to help us out, you feel like donating, please go to patreon.com/MeisterCon and help us out. Even a couple dollars can be a big help. Please check out The Last Saturday Night. We're so proud of it. Chris is on there. A ton of good actors, great actors are on there. So please come and check that out. Man, I love that Christian Bale story. That was awesome. All his stories were good. thank you, everybody. And we'll do this again real soon. We'll definitely have Chris back because I've got more questions I want to ask about the 100 and the bridge and I'm forgetting the name, Westworld and Agent Carter and all these shows that he's been on. I want to talk to him about. So we'll do this again. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you again real soon. Bye.
Hey guys, it's Miriam Love here, and I want to share something very special with you. Check out my new release, All In, the Spanish remixes, out now on ElectraCast Records. And always remember, be love, share love, all love.
Available now wherever you listen to music.
Today is working for me. Do you believe that for yourself? Hey, I'm Pastor Julie, and I want to empower you through encouragement. Inviting you to my podcast, Big Truth Encouragement, where I unpack living a faith-filled life. I created my podcast for the ladies, but gentlemen, you'll gain something too. So I invite you to listen to Big Truth Encouragement on ElectraCast and any platform where you listen to your podcast.
ElectraCast. ElectraCast.